Security VIP is the official podcast of the security industry, from manufacturers to end users and everything in between. Security VIP is your home for nothing but the truth.
You think you know me?
You're listening to the Security VIP Podcast, hosted by Taylor May, the official podcast of the security industry and home of nothing but the truth.
What's going on, guys? Taylor May here, owner and host of the Security VIP Podcast, doing another solo episode today. It has been a while since I've actually done a solo episode, but also just an episode in general. Last couple weeks, as everyone knows, we just came back from IC West, great conference in Vegas, a lot more traction than we expected, and really good to see people in person again and shake someone's hand. The point and emphasis of this episode that I want to bring up is just a topic that I believe that is not talked about too much, or it's kind of in the shadows a little bit with certain kinds of individuals in our industry. And the topic I want to discuss is accountability. Now, accountability to me is when you have full transparency in your conversations with any kind of relationship you want to form, whether it's your family, whether it's a friend, whether it's a client, whether it's a coach, a professor, a teacher, whatever it may be. Having transparency in that conversation. When you throw accountability into that conversation, that's admitting flaws, weaknesses, challenges, struggles that you're going through. And I think here in the security industry, it's hard to find accountability, but also transparency in our conversations. And I think you can't have one without the other. So when I talk to my customers and I talk to people in the industry, no matter if you're a manufacturer, an integrator, consultant, especially an end user, the first thing I always tell my customers up front is I try to be honest with them, take accountability in what my product is offering, where we lie on the weak side of the fence, where we struggle, what challenges we have, but also the advantages too, right? But I think when you admit accountability and you admit those flaws and those weaknesses, that's when trust is really created and really formed. And there's so many instances and examples that I could give here in the industry of having my relationships with clients personally, as well as partners about, Taylor, I appreciate what you're telling me because it's hard to find that. It's hard to find that kind of honesty and genuineness in a conversation with certain individuals. At the heart and soul and crux of everything I do in life, I'm a sales guy, right? And naturally with sales guys, you automatically get that stereotype and that stigma of that car sales guy, right? Or that guy's going to try to, that shark that's trying to screw you over. And not to discredit, sales guys at automotive dealerships, but we want to kind of eliminate that here in the industry. And I think when you do that, and when you express accountability for your actions, that's really when a relationship turns into a one-time relationship to a lifetime relationship. So there's a lot of examples I could spread in this industry. When we talk about the vendor versus end user relationship, I think that's key, especially when you have this kind of stigma right now between vendors, manufacturers, hearsay, going direct to a consumer. That's really when the accountability has to happen. If a manufacturer is going to truly express their go-to-market strategy going direct to an end user, they're going to have accountability with that end user if things do go wrong moving forward. If that end user says, "Hey, we want to buy your product moving forward." And that's another key topic too I want to bring up is, let's say that you have a relationship with the customer, an end user. They purchase your product, they get it installed, you do the training. Let's say 2 weeks down the line, 30 days down the line, something happens that the end user did not expect, or they thought that your product did, but it doesn't do in fact. That's where the accountability aspect has to come into play, from the sales guy level. And, so what does that customer do, right? If something goes wrong, or something that the end user thought worked, that the sales rep told them that did work, does not, what does that end user do? What does that customer do? He goes back to the sales guy and says, "Hey, I believe you told me that this feature or this functionality, this capability worked in your product. I'm not seeing that today." What does the sales guy do? There's really two options that the sales guy can do. There's probably three options, right? So the first option is, just go ghost mode. Does not respond. He kicks it to his account manager, or he kicks it to an SE. It says, "Hey, you can handle this conversation. I'm focused on my next opportunity." That's a really shitty way for sales guys to handle the opportunity. The two way is to I guess the second way is to admit your flaws, right? And say, look, I thought at the time that feature was available, but it's not available. I apologize. Let me see what I can do to get you that feature, that functionality that you want. That's the accountability aspect, right? Taking action and taking accountability for what you sold that customer. That's rare. Once you have that, you're admitting your flaws. But imagine this. Let's say you were accountable, or you admitted that in the beginning of the conversation before the customer actually purchased your product. Imagine the mitigation of headaches, the mitigation of challenges, mitigating that whole conversation. That conversation would have never happened if that sales guy was upfront and honest and transparent with that end user upfront. And it's hard to find that. And I think that's the battle right now with manufacturers going direct. If manufacturers are really going to go direct to a consumer, their sales team, their sales force has to be accountable in those conversations with that customer directly. And if they're not, and the customer does move forward with a product, that's when the accountability has to come even more stronger, or take more into effect, because I think it's harder to have accountability after someone's already purchased your product. If you do that up front and be honest, it's a lot easier transition if there was a challenge that did happen, moving forward. And that's what I tell all my customers at these trade shows, right? IC West and GSX and ASIS. I tell them, hey, look, when you go to a vendor's booth, a manufacturer's booth, ask them what their weaknesses are. Ask them what their flaws are. What challenges are you seeing in the market? What do you guys need to really improve on to make your product feasible for all verticals in this industry, or to adapt and adopt more market share, right? I encourage those followers and my listeners, and especially the customers listening, and I guess even the integrators, and I've had my own perspective on integrators in this industry. Go to a manufacturer's booth and just first question you ask them, hey, my name's Taylor. I'm with ABC company. Tell me what's the weak points of your product, and where do you guys struggle? What's your flaws? I guarantee that question that you ask that sales guy or that manufacturer, whatever the VP or whoever the RSM, whoever you speak to at that booth, maybe it's an SE, they'll be shocked by that question from the get-go. They say, who is this guy coming into my booth asking me about my weaknesses, asking about my pain points? Isn't he supposed to just come in here and just ask me all the great things about my product and what my product can do? That's what we're looking for in this industry. Well, that's what I look for in this industry. Where do you suck, manufacturer? Where do you actually suck in your product offering? That's where transparency happens. A lot of things I could talk about on this accountability subject, but I think we have to have more accountability in any conversation in life, right? I played college football. Most people know that. I played college football at Oklahoma State. I walked on at OSU. As a walk-on, you got your own level of adversity. I posted an article about this on my LinkedIn. I encourage my, for those interested to check it out. But as a walk-on, you got to have accountability in every single action. Every single day, you have to have accountability. No one recruited you. No one said, hey, look, this is the guy I want to have on my team. No one offered you any kind of financial aid or scholarship. So when you walk into practice, walk into a weight lift, walk into a sit-down session one-on-one with your coach, or play-by-play, or watching film, you screw up, you got to have accountability. You got to admit, say, look, coach, yeah, man, I ran the wrong route, ran the wrong gap, ran the wrong technique, split, etc. You have to have that kind of encouragement and accountability in your actions. And I'm not saying you play college football to adapt accountability, but I think the longer on your life, the more times you are accountable for your actions, the more times you are transparent in your actions, I think the more success you'll see in relationships that you want to have. And this is not just applicable in our industry. You can apply this to sports. Like I said earlier, you can apply this to your relationships with family and friends, your any kind of hobby that you're looking into, any kind of relationship, whether it's in school or education, right? So, a lot of things do revolve around accountability in industry, and I think we need to see more of that. And I think we are starting to see more of that in this industry. And I try not to snowflake things or sugarcoat things in this industry. For people that do know me, I don't try to sugarcoat anything. because I think we see too much of that right now in our industry. And I think that's another conversation I could have around all the fluffiness that you see in our industry. But promote this, promote this kind of adaptability and accountability and transparency in your conversations moving forward. And I think we'll have a healthier, fruitful industry moving forward too. So last thing I want to say is I'm hosting some more panel discussions coming up. Vegas, June 6th through June 9th at the Global Game Protection and Table Games Conference at the Excalibur Hotel Resort and Casino. Still working on my panelists. Richard Marcus puts on a great conference at that discussion. So I'm going to hopefully get my panelists teed up this week and announce that later on. Also, another conference coming up is this August 1st through the 3rd in Austin, Texas at the Omni Hotel downtown. I am a part of the Sea of Rise community, the steering committee. Fortunate to be a part of the content team. Obviously, hosting a podcast, content makes sense for me to be on that committee. That conference is, again, August 1st through 3rd. Come see emerging leaders in our industry as well as end users. I'm getting some panel of end users, hopefully on discussion at that conference as well. You know me, I love end users in this space. And last thing I do want to say, females, I'm a big advocate for females in this industry. And going back to what I said earlier about accountability, if you're a female in this space, reach out to me. Let me help you, put you on a platform if you're kind of behind the shadows or you're unsure and say, Taylor, I don't know what I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I'm always willing to help people out, especially females in this space, and putting you guys on a platform to be successful. And I would love to see more successful younger females. No disrespect to the older generation, but would like to see, females in this industry that are, 1 to 3 years in or 5 years in that just need some guidance and support, and to put you guys on a pedestal to voice your opinion. And I think we have to have more of that. And I would love to see more females in this industry take ownership and accountability in their actions and being their true, genuine self in this industry. Because if you can't be yourself with someone, then you're just living a life of a lie, right? And I think that's what we have to see more of, especially in this industry. So females, please, 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 please need help, need guidance. You can use my podcast. We can help promote you. I've done this before with Antoinette King. Antoinette King, listen to that episode with my episode with Antoinette King. Incredible individual. She was also shy in her early on in her career that she actually got out of her box per se. And now she's kicking ass and taking names, right? See a rise. She's top 100 successful females. Kicking ass. Kelsey Carnell, another one, Access Communications. Same kind of scenario, younger individual, kicking ass, taking names. Now she's on a pedestal. Erin Mann, another one. I mean, there's so many incredible females in this industry. So reach out to them if you don't feel comfortable talking to me. But again, anything that I can do for aspiring young females, don't hesitate to reach out. As always, you guys stay safe out there. If you guys need anything, reach out to me, info@securityvip.net. Once again, that email is info@securityvip.net. You can follow me on LinkedIn, listen to us on Spotify, and stay connected on YouTube with all my video announcements coming out. You guys stay safe.
Gotta recognize you wanna talk that shit.